I'm curious, with like Bohemian Rhapsody, Rocket Man, Straight Outta Compton. Are you guys having interest in doing an autobiography? I'll just skip it. Can you guys do a snow movie called Informer?
A what?
What?
There we go.
Imagine that's our pitch, Bruce. Can you imagine? We want to do a snow biopic.
Yeah,
A biopic
really
on the white stuff on the ground. No, the Canadian rapper.
Yeah,
I dare you, assholes, to go into a pitch meeting sometime and do that.
If you want to become a member, check out our webpage at deathcursesociety.com and click on the membership tab. You could join for the cost of a couple of pre-rolls a month.
We got to thank our members. Thanks to our final girls and guys, Christy, C-Pays, Lorena, BD, Alex, and Robert. Our Crazy Ralph's Bell's Fancy Creations, Dr. Smiley, Raymond, and the whole damn enchilada pod. And, of course, our camp counselors, Adam, Corey, Christy, Luke, Jimmy and Rachel, Stacy Lynn, Orlando, Chuck Schick, Dave. That's Canadian Dave, by the way. A different Canadian Dave. We got two Canadian Daves to talk about tonight. Patricia, Kristen, and JJ. Ladies and gentlemen, the co-writers and directors of the upcoming It's Me, Billy, Chapter 2, dropping this Friday. We have Mr. And I gotta do some stuff here. There we go. There boom, boom, boom. We have Mr. Dave McRae. Hey. And he brought his own track. And Bruce Dale. Welcome to the show.
We can do that. I don't know how good this will.
I think Dave is just messing with us. He's the sound guy. So.
Oh yeah.
What is up, guys? How you guys doing?
Good.
We're doing good. We're doing good. Yeah. No, thanks for having us on. This is great. I think this was booked like in 1989, and now here we are. I mean, it's great.
It was booked at the same time Crank started his broadcast with his current camera. So yeah.
No, dude, leave me alone with this. I don't know what's going on with it. You guys are going to make me paranoid, and I'm going to start messing with it. And
That's all right. You just look a little. It looks a little washed out. That's all.
I look a little pale today.
Pale. You I mean, I look like this all the time, so it's all right.
No sunlight in Canada.
No, there isn't. No, sun? What is that? I don't know.
Anyway, are you guys feeling the calm down yet? Or are you still like on the pins and needles with everything coming up?
Well, I would say a little bit of both. Last night we did the advanced online screening for the Indiegogo backers, and I think it went well. And so feeling some calm from that, because that's now done, but definitely some pins and needles coming into Friday, because just hoping people are going to like it. There's a few things that we're just wrapping up in the meantime to kind of get things ready for Friday. So, it's always a nervous time leading into that for sure.
I agree. Yeah. It's exciting, because we've been working on this, not, continuously. Is it continuously or continually? Continuously is never stopping. Continually is on a regular basis. I always get those back to front. Maybe I did now. I don't know. But anyway, so we've been working on it since 2019. Mm-hmm. This is a project that we announced in 2019, and here it is 2024. And, we are finally wrapping it up, and it's exciting, and it's sad but exciting because we get to move on to new projects, original projects. And this will be the last fan film that we do. Mm-hmm. And so we are excited to move on to, original IP. But we hold a special place in our heart for these two films. And so, it's a lot of sort of like, wow, this is it. We're coming up October 11th. Here we go. And of course, that aside, as Bruce said, there's always that, well, you just got to do what you do and put it out there and see what happens. You know what I mean? And because you have no control over what happens. And so, but we're very proud of it. And we've worked hard and it's a little bit of both, a little bit of excitement, pins and needles, kind of there. And there's a few little things we're tweaking, just those last little things before Friday. And then we'll be ready to go.
Before we get into It's Me, Billy 2, I want to ask, this can go to both of you, but I know Dave is the one that releases the epic rants about all things horror. I want to know, Dave, what is pissing you off about horror in 2024?
What's pissing me off about horror in 2024?
He's saving that for his own channel, man. Fuck.
Yeah, no. I'm really trying to think. What isn't pissing? No. I don't know. I would say that it's just more. I don't think there's anything that's pissing me off.
Not even The Crow.
I haven't seen The Crow. I haven't seen The Crow, so I didn't see.
That's why you're not pissed.
Yes,
that's why I'm not. Here's the thing, folks. I'm not a movie review channel, so I don't have to go and watch movies that I don't want to go watch. Right. And so if you're a movie review channel, then your audience relies on you to go and watch The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Oh, hey, the Attack of the Killer Stepdads are out. Oh, God, I got to go watch that. Fuck, that looks like I should. You know what I mean? I don't have to do that. Attack of the Killer Stepdads. That should be a movie. But
remember Attack of the Killer Tomatoes when we were kids?
Yes.
Did you guys watch that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All the time when I was a kid, man. Fucking loved it.
That's good stuff.
Hardware Wars, the whole thing, man.
Yeah. But there isn't a movie that came out in the 80s that isn't good. I mean, let's be honest. Anyway, so which is totally not true. But no, I don't think there's anything that's pissing me off. I would say that I just I try to watch horror movies that I can get really excited about. Like in 2024, what have I seen in 20? I saw I thought Abigail was great. I thought Late Night with the Devil, I thought was not as good as I had hoped. I think I was expecting something a little different, but what it was, I mean, these two guys, indie filmmakers, hello, right? And they're out there and they put this thing together and it gets a theatrical release. And I'm like, no, I mean, I would have been very proud of it if that was my movie. So I enjoyed it. Again, not quite what I was expecting, but I enjoyed that. And then I want to see is it The Substance? With Demi Moore. That looks just like it's an acid trip. I mean, that just looks wild. So I definitely want to see that. Terrifier 3, not my kind of horror, but I will see it just simply because I know people want to know my thoughts on it specifically. So I always see it once. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's anything. I'm being honest. I really try to avoid. If I see a trailer and I think it looks like ass, I just don't go see it. That's what it is.
At the very least, you could probably be pissed that Terrifier 3 moved its premiere date to your day, man.
Very pissed. It feels personal, a personal attack on us. God damn you, Damien Leone. No.
Yep. Next time we see Damien, we'll kneecap him for you. Right?
Exactly. Damn son of a bitch. No, although when I did see that, though, I did go, oh, God. I thought, we're not a theatrically released movie. So that is in our favor, actually. Right. And so, and our movie's for free. So there's no reason why you can't go watch Terrifier and then come home and watch our movie. But I did realize I was hoping to have that weekend clear for, some sort of buzz. But now I know that yes, exactly. Now I know that the talk of the town will be Art the Clown and Terrifier 3 that weekend. And we'll be like, hey, we're right here. Hey, what's going on? Yeah. But it is what it is when you release a not-for-profit film online. That's what you have to do. Right. So, but yeah, no, it's I don't think there's anything that pisses me off. Not yet. Not yet.
Well, let's see what we can do about that tonight. No, I'm just kidding. Ziggy, won't you get us started off? Won't you ask these guys a question?
I sure will. Let me go to it. So what is the hardest part of picking up a sequel exactly where it left off, continuity wise? I mean, how much of a nightmare is that just to get it right at that moment and make it believable that nothing stopped? We've been going the whole time.
I would say first and foremost continuity. So even like the detail of somebody's hair. So, you know, the length of Victoria's hair, really great thing. And even, you know, Caro to, you know, anybody, right? Like that's a great detail. And just trying to get it to match. And I think the other thing in terms of writing, I was saying this the other night, you know, it's like, did we write ourselves into a corner here with some of this stuff? Like, how do we justify certain things? How do we get out of this? How do we bring this to a conclusion, make it make sense and not piss the audience off in the process, you know, and make dumb choices and things that people would hate. So I think landing in a good spot with that, but otherwise I think it's really exciting. You know, it's a bit of that, I don't know, I'll say Back to the Future vibe where, you know, it's like, we get to pick up where we left off and just dive right back in and keep going, you know? It's cool.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like we had, you know, no decision we made was arbitrary. No. So when we ended it on a cliffhanger, we knew the direction we wanted to go. It's not like we're like, I don't know what's going on. We knew the direction we wanted to go. But it's those fine details that we really want to make sure make sense. But at the same time, we're walking that line that we're a short film, so there's only so much that we can do, and we don't want to reveal everything. So we want to make you feel like you've had a fulfilling experience by watching both films, but especially and maybe our films might piss off the average horror fan who doesn't really care about Black Christmas. But if you're a Black Christmas fan and you enjoy the original, there's deep cuts in there. And there's things where you'll be able to kind of, you know, we hope that they appreciate the fact that, I don't want to say this because it's not a spoiler, but I'll just say that it's appreciate the fact that we have kept the continuity of the ambiguity, and without just kind of going, well, it's kind of the third act of the movie, so here it is, you know, and everything, and it's all out there, and that's not what we wanted to do. So just kind of maintaining that and walking that line, and what does the audience need to know? What can we sort of present in a sort of interesting way, and then allow them to fill in those gaps. So that took a bit. It took a bit, but I think we did it.
Yeah, it took a lot of care. Yeah, just really taking a lot of care with the story and the characters too.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Bruce, your background is making me dizzy.
I know.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
It's not even moving, but it looks like it's moving.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
I am a drinker, so it may be that too. I don't know.
Well, to be honest with you, Bruce's background just is blurry. His house is blurry. When I go over there, it looks like that. Yeah. He doesn't have one of those things on. That's just the way his house looks. Yeah.
I would fall down stepping in your front door and not really feel that bad about it. Really. So.
I don't know how he does it. Sometimes he comes over to my place and he's blurry. I don't know what's going on.
Wait a minute. Now I've seen that movie and that one scared me. So I don't know about that. Well, you speak of the continuity. You had all the same, it seemed like anyway, you had the same sets from, especially the basement set where you end one and pick up two. You had a lot of the same, you know, you made sure no one threw away any of the costumes or clothing.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
So
that's
good.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was the thing.
We weren't sure that part 2 was ever going to get made at this time either. When you got to the end of the first,
after the first one, right?
Yeah,
we assumed there would be because you don't pull a Who Shot JR ending like that and then not have the next season, hopefully. But
Yeah. No, definitely the calls went out and said, Victoria, don't get rid of those slippers. Brian, keep those shoes, keep the jacket. And there were some gaps we had to fill and some things that we had to do to recoup or, get some things so that it matched. And I think we did well in the end because I don't think anybody's going to notice the difference. No.
Well,
Yeah.
Cool. Colonel, you got a question to kick off with here?
No, yeah, this goes for both of you guys as well. Were there any new challenges when filming It's Me, Billy, Chapter 2 compared to Part 1?
Well, Yeah, I would say definitely yes.
Yes. Short answer, yes.
Yeah. But you know what? It was we chose to raise the bar, right? Just kind of across the board, both in terms of the complexity of the production, and that came from the story that we wanted to tell. So when we were writing the script, we knew coming out with a final draft, we were like, okay, this is going to challenge us in really great ways, have us push our abilities as filmmakers and try to raise the bar. And we wanted to do more too, so that when people watch the sequel, you don't feel like it's a rehash of the first one or anything, that it truly plays as the second half of the story, because that's what it is. It's finishing the film, if you think of it as a feature, if you think of chapter 1 and chapter 2 put together. So, I would say that, and just the coordinating, the logistics on this one was much greater. We had everything from, steady cam operator on set to stunt coordinator, visual practical effects in camera. Yeah. And then also trying to secure Olivia, trying to work with, and working with the talent that we did too. Everybody was amazing on this film. It was unfortunate that Olivia wasn't able to join us, but hopefully everything's good with her and she's doing all right.
Yeah. Yeah. It was,
it was health concerns, correct? That was what kept her away from it.
It was, yeah. And stuff that kind of came up last minute that was beyond our control. And, we had a lot of conversations, a lot of communication with her agent throughout all of the summer months, like right from the beginning of the campaign, before we started the campaign, all the way through to, a couple of weeks when we were supposed to go to camera. We got approved by SAG. We had the contract in place, like everything was there. We were approved. You could look us up on Deadline, not Date. Yes, no, Deadline, not Dateline.
Dateline. Hey,
wait a minute.
It's true crime. It's true crime right there.
Yeah.
Why don't you gentlemen have a seat over here? We have some things to talk about.
What are you doing here?
Yeah. So
were you expecting a 14-year-old girl in a Girl Scout outfit?
That's
No.
right. That's right. That's right.
No.
No. Chris had said no.
Yeah.
One of your backers, it looks like, is here. He said, Oliver Mercer says it was amazing last night with the advanced screening. A lot of edge of your seat chills with eye-opening story reveals. So
Thank you, Oliver.
Thank you, Oliver.
Little mini review there.
Yeah, Oliver's been a big supporter of I know of Dave's and of the film projects, both of them actually. So it's been super cool. Yeah, he's been great.
Yeah.
Oh, it sucks. We can't talk about it, and right now, not until Friday. Now, like I have questions.
Not till Friday.
Well, you can talk about it in a roundabout way.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm thinking carefully right now ahead of time, so I don't.
I got you. Yeah. So yes, because I did send the screener. So and again, my apologies for being a little late on that, but we had to go down to the wire, and the premiere was last night, so we had to kind of get everything organized. But just to sort of piggyback on what Bruce said, it was the first film was a non-union shoot. The second film was a full-scale union shoot. So that right there alone adds, you're dealing, and we were dealing with both unions, the union here in Canada, which is ACTRA, and the union in the US, of course, SAG-AFTRA. And so that's two unions you're dealing with, double the paperwork, double the, everything. And so it was a very interesting experience. It was a great experience, as well in that regard. But it was a lot of work. And when you're working at this level and you want to produce a professional product, that's, you're making as we said, a real film. We have to put the fan film label on it because we don't own the intellectual property, but we would go about this journey the same way we would if we were making something original. And so in terms of IP, so when you're working like that and you're going through all the steps, it's a lot. And when you're indie filmmakers and you're kind of handling a bunch of roles at the same time, Bruce was co-writer, co-director, co-producer, production manager, and storyboard artist, and and so it's all these things that we're doing, and so it was a lot of hard work, a
lot of good learning too. Because
do the unions like internationally, when you get to work with both like that, are the policies kind of the same, or is that the heaviest part? Is the paperwork getting that all down, or is it kind of we do the same thing, same time,
They're similar, because
Yeah.
ACTRA and SAG-AFTRA, I mean, they work together all the time,
Yeah.
right? Because Hollywood is always shooting up here, whether it's Vancouver or Toronto or Montreal. I mean, actually, most of the things you probably watch are shot up here, and so there's always that they have a good relationship with each other. So their policies are similar. There's some slight differences, but it's the same kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, rules are generally the same and whatnot. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned, you brought up Olivia Hussey already. You when you first started announcing the Indiegogo campaign and the crowdfunding campaign, she was mentioned as coming back, and then a few weeks later, a month or so later, you had to kind of back up and punt and say that she could no longer do the role. Now, I'm sure you saw some of it. I saw some of it as well. There was a ton of backlash online about, Dave and Bruce. Well, Dave and Bruce were just trying to do that for a money grab, and they never had Olivia, blah, 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 blah. Besides telling those people to just straight fuck off, do you have anything else you want to add to, kind of clear the air? You can't help another person's health.
No.
Yeah. And that's why I mentioned for us, okay, how do I put this? So we were our
It's
production
FUC.
Yeah, we had to be approved by SAG-AFTRA in order for us to engage in a contract with Olivia. And the minute that at that particular point the strike was going on. So you have to remember that's the backdrop. To get through to SAG and actually get your production approved, there's a lot of hoops that you had to jump through. Then once you are approved, it was posted on Deadline. And then it was also posted on a number of other industry publications. And those are the official listings of which productions are approved. So, and then we had the official SAG contract. It was ready to go. It was in her hands. We have the email correspondence. We have all the communications, the phone logs, you name it. And the thing is that we had all of that lined up, and it was literally 2 weeks before we had to go to camera that she had to back out. And when we cast Lisa Kovac to replace her in the role. So the entire time, it was a go. Up until that moment. And so I would say to those folks, why would we go through all of that effort? Why would we go to the effort to be officially approved by the union? That's a lot of hoops to jump through. That's a lot of paperwork. That's a lot of extra work for indie filmmakers who don't have that kind of time or resources to just put in for fun. I land at the same spot. Fuck off.
And I'll add to that too, that we have the first thing we had back at the end of April of 2023, the first thing that we had Olivia sign was what's known as an LOI. So that's a letter of intent. And we have that. We have her signature on it. My signature is on it as a producer. Bruce's signature is on it as a producer. And Olivia Hussey's signature is on it. And it was sent over to us. And the letter of intent basically says that, yes, you are allowed to use my name, my images, my likeness for the purposes of your campaign and raising money. And if you can follow through on what you promise, I will be in your film. That's what, what I mean? The intention is, I will do that. Indeed, that is a very common thing in business. It's a very common thing in the filmmaking industry. If an independent production company has an opportunity to get Kurt Russell on board or something like that, some indie film or whatever, they may have him sign an LOI, and then the production company goes to see, to seek extra funding through various resources, and they say, well, look who we got on board. We got fucking Kurt Russell on board. And so that kind of thing happens all the time. And so we had that. Now, as Bruce said, we couldn't have Olivia sign the SAG contract because the strike, and we had to wait until the strike was over to have her sign it. And even if she had signed it, she still would have had to back out anyway because of health. And
and I just want to say, Dave, it was she could have signed it under the strike, because that's our very point. We had to go through very rigorous steps with the union.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes, 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 yes.
Right?
Yes,
Like,
yes,
you know,
yes.
that's important.
That's right. That's right.
She
Yeah.
backed out because of health reasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes, you're
Great,
right.
go on.
Yeah,
Sorry, yeah.
we didn't have the SAG contract until about 2-3 weeks before we were going to go to camera, because we were waiting for 2 months or 2.5 months to be approved.
Yeah.
So we needed the contract, and we didn't have that because there were so many films that were backed up. So it was real. Bloody Disgusting covered it. Collider covered it. Screen Rant covered it. You know, I mean, I'm pretty sure if it wasn't real, Olivia would have been like, what's going on here? I don't know who these guys are. What's going on? Bruce and I have worked in the entertainment industry for over 20 years. We would not put, we are professionals. We would not put ourselves and our reputation, our reps too, but our reputation on the line in that way. That's just ridiculous. You know, you don't recover from that. So no, she was on board. And unfortunately, these things happen. Actors back out of projects for various reasons all the time.
Now, I saw a couple of those posts, you know, talking about that kind of stuff and just speculate. Of course, you know, 90% of what's on the internet is speculation anyway. So, you know, I wanted to just jump in and defend you guys. And I was like, no.
And I'll take it a step further, Frank. On behalf of Dave and Bruce, all you haters out there. Hey.
Love it.
There you go.
Good.
Love it.
That's it.
He's been waiting for a moment to use that.
I wanted you guys to get your piece out before I started spitting all the taking the low road here, man.
No problem. No problem.
Appreciate it.
Well, I wanted to clear that up for you know, anybody that might be watching. So
Pretty simple question. How did you guys start in the film industry?
Oh, great question. Yeah. Do you want to go first, Dave?
Yeah, so I would say, well, I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. It's Cole's Notes here in Canada, but I know that we're talking to U.S. viewers, so we're going to say Cliff Notes until I've been doing this a while. So the Cliff Notes version is Bruce and I have known each other for 32 years. We're best friends. We grew up together, met in the 7th grade. See, up here in Canada, we put the grade first. Like we'll say grade 7, but you guys in the States, for some reason, say 7th. You put the number first.
And
Weird, isn't it?
I don't know why we do anything like we do down here. And the further we get along, the worse it gets. And I'm still wondering.
It's just one of those little details I've noticed. I'm like, oh yeah. So if I hear somebody say 7th grade, I'm like, oh, you're American. Grade 7, I'm like, oh, it's got to be a Canadian. Anyway, so we met in 7th grade, and we just were, it's right. And we just got along. We shared the same sense of humor, and we started making home movies as teenagers in the 90s and all that kind of stuff. And we both, you know, obviously had a passion for film and filmmaking, and that's what we wanted to do with our lives. So we grew up in Ottawa, which is Canada's capital. It's about 4.5 hours from Toronto. And so we both decided, well, you know, you can't really, generally speaking, especially at that time, there's not a huge filmmaking scene in Ottawa. So not that there isn't one at all for anybody from Ottawa who's watching. I'm just saying, it's not, you know, compared to Toronto, which is not as big as Toronto, which is the 3rd largest market in North America. So we so we moved to Toronto and went to film school, and we both, not to the same school, but we both studied film. And then I fell into the voiceover side of the entertainment industry, and that's sort of where the heavy load of my experience is. And but I love movies and wanted to make movies, and I've been on set, worked on set, all that kind of stuff. And it was in 2019, this whole Black Christmas project, when I turned 40, when I thought, yeah, you know, I really got to get off my ass and really make a go at this. But I didn't want to bite off more than I could chew, which is why insert It's Me, Billy. And Bruce's path is very similar in that regard. Bruce?
Yeah. So I echo everything Dave's saying. When I went to, I moved to Toronto specifically for, I went to an art school here, OCAD. And then, but I took their film studies program. And then I just always worked on independent productions, right? Like as a student, as a film student, you're working on other people's projects. And then sometimes I had the chance to get involved in some other indie shoots that were taking place in the city, just as a crew member. And then when I graduated he did everything from teaching movie making to youth and doing that kind of thing and getting very heavily involved in education. And then worked on set for a couple of years, working a variety of different roles. And then eventually ended up working at Canada's largest film equipment supplier. And so really gained like a shit ton of knowledge about the equipment, from lighting to grip, camera support, you name it, and started their education department. So, it's the truthful, learning and development for anybody that's familiar or works in that field, with instructional designers to, trainers, you name it. Pardon me. Same structure of everything, but we're teaching film equipment. We're teaching about, the industry, the rental process, all of that. And super cool because we're supplying equipment to, everything from Total Recall to the first Marvel Hulk movie that was shot in Toronto to, you name it, Dark Water to, I'm trying to think of modern examples, but we did supply to Bob Clark's Christmas Story, A Christmas Story. And
Did you guys do Chucky? Because that was shot in Toronto.
We did the television series,
Yeah.
or the streaming series, yeah. And Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. And Shape of Water, a bunch of stuff, right? So it was cool. And then we had the chance to integrate a lot with the unions, with their training departments. So the training of their technicians, their gaffers, Best Boy Electrics, you name it, to working with the DGC, Directors Guild. So, really integrating a lot, doing a lot of workshops, seminars, professional training for folks, technicians working on set in the industry. And that taught me a lot, helped build a lot of connections. And then just continued working with Dave, making movies, doing some of my own stuff on the side.
Bruce's knowledge on that side, which is why it makes sense for him to take on the role on our two films as production manager, was invaluable. I mean, it was just I've learned so much through Bruce's experience at the rental house, and all the equipment and everything, because we're shooting and using the same gear that they shoot and use on major shows and films. So so it was great to be able to have that experience and learn so much. So it's such an invaluable thing. Your job and your journey has been huge. So it's really cool.
But Tarek wants to know, what was the process of shotgun casting Olivia's replacement? Lisa Kovac.
Lisa Kovac, great question. So as the good producers as we are, or like the good producers we are, I should say, we were not sure in about February, March of 2023, we wanted to make a go at casting Olivia, but we were not sure whether that was going to happen, right? I mean, that's the dream. We're like, but we weren't sure if that was going to happen. March of 2023, we secured Lynn Griffin. Now we had already had a relationship with her. Lynn and I also have the same voiceover agent. So, there's, a connection there. And so Lynn was happy. She wanted to be a part of it. We did speak with Art Hindle as well, for a role in the film. He, loved what we were doing, thought it was great, but he passed, and sometimes that happens. It's not personal.
He passed on the project, not
passed on the project.
Yeah, no, he didn't.
Okay. No. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Yes. He passed on the project.
Just want to make that clear.
Well, this is Death Curse Society, so you guys are always in the zone. Yeah, you're right. That's good. No, Art Hindle's very much alive. He's still alive.
And he complimented our script too. He came back and he said to us, guys, although I'm not in, Bob Clark would have loved your script. He would have really loved your story. And that meant a lot.
To say. That was cool.
For sure. He's and our DP on the film has worked with Art on a couple of projects and says he's just a hoot on set. So I was like, I wanted to see this hoot on set. This guy who's got just a great sense of humor. But anyway, so shout out to Art, who is still alive. But he passed on the project. And we secured Lynn. And then what we decided to do is through Casting Workbook, which is an official online source for casting, we reached out to a number of agencies in Toronto, put out a casting call, and had some of the big agencies in the city send us their talent for Jess Bradford. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to receive auditions as a backup. We wanted to have people lined up. And for those of you that may not know the acting business, you guys do, but for those who are watching, when you do not I mean, I say generally speaking, this is how it goes, not all the time, but generally speaking, if you audition for something, how you know you didn't get it is because you just never hear back. There's a saying in acting, whether it's voiceover or on camera, that auditioning is the work. You know, I mean, that really is. You will always audition far more than you book, unless you're Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise. But you know, 2% of you know, that's like 2% of actors, right? So we did our due diligence and received auditions, and Lisa Kovac was one. And funny enough, Lisa Kovac had actually auditioned for the role of Agnes in It's Me, Billy Chapter 1.
Wow.
Yes. When I saw her come through, I was like, oh, Lisa Kovac. I remember Lisa Kovac. So she was great. Her audition was great. And Bruce and I said, well, look, if for whatever reason we can't get Olivia, then we will just ask Lisa if she wants a job, because she was great and she could do that English accent. And we thought she'd be great. So but we didn't need her. Well, all of a sudden Olivia said yes, everything's great, and we're firing on all cylinders. And then, of course, 2 weeks before we go to camera, she backs out. Olivia does, and we said, okay, well, now we have to send out a press release. We don't even know if people are going to back out of the project now. We would not have blamed anybody, because many people, I'm sure, donated to the campaign with the understanding that Olivia Hussey was going to return to the world of Black Christmas, one of horror's first final girls. It's horror history that was being made. And so people donated, and we understood that some people may want a refund, and that's totally fair, right? I mean, that's fair.
We were prepared to, hand that over.
We were prepared for that. We were hoping that the refunds would be minimal, but we didn't even know if Lisa would be available. I mean, this is 2 weeks before we're going to go to camera. She's a professional. She works in the business. She could be on another shoot. And so the first thing we did was we did a press release. We got it out fairly fast. We did a live show on my channel where we talked about it and we went through it all. And to this day, October the 7th, 2024, not one, and this is not hyperbolic, not one single backer refunded.
Yeah.
Good.
Not one.
I think that's also a testament to the first film, how it went down the first time. And I'll say this about your choice. I can't put my finger on it, but it's something about her eyes that really look close to what Olivia is, and
she's solid too. She's very solid.
Man. You see why we cast her, right? Yeah.
Yes,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah. We needed, when you're casting, you're looking, there's obviously called a look, right? You're looking for a look, and Lisa had that look. And when you see Olivia now, Olivia is basically semi-retired now, and she's doesn't go out much. She's got a lot of health problems. She's also she suffers from agoraphobia. That's not a private thing. That's in her own book. So that is out there in the public. So we can say that was one of the things that we had to make sure she felt comfortable with and all that kind of stuff. So Olivia and she's like 72 now, I think. So there probably are not too many photos of her out there at this age now. There's a couple. Like she did an interview with New York Magazine about a year or so ago. About a year ago.
Last November, wasn't it? Something.
Yeah, like that. I think it was September. Last September. I think it was.
Yeah.
September 2023. And there were some photos taken of her, and you can see her look. And Lisa looks. I think Lisa's younger than Olivia, maybe by about, I want to say maybe 10 years, maybe. But she has that same look, high cheekbones, that same sort of bolder feature kind of, you know what I mean? And it was just, and she's great. She's talented. We thought this is the person that we have to go with if Olivia says no, or we can't use her. So I thought Lisa was terrific. And for somebody who came on the last minute, 2 weeks before going to camera, like literally 2 weeks before going, we had a Zoom call with her. She's like, okay. We sent her the script. She's getting ready. She's getting prepared, all those things. I mean, you would think she was there the whole time. So,
and
really cool.
You guys gave her some some heavy lifting to do too, man. It ain't like it's just a
Yeah.
little bit of, you know what I mean? Little couple of lines here and there. No. She's critical to some scenes here.
She is.
Yes. And we had to have all of those conversations like that weekend. So that weekend was just a flurry of activity for Dave and I. Phone calls to whoever it was needed to be, you name it. Well, however, like just putting in the hours until the work was done, because it felt, I don't know, it's one of the highest pressure situations I've ever felt in a movie making situation, because literally the entire project was riding on the line at that point. We weren't sure if it was going to fold because people were going to withdraw the money and everything else collapse around it, or if we'd be able to proceed. And we just fought for it to proceed. You know, we weren't willing to settle for anything else. So we put in the work, and it was just a flurry. By the end of that weekend, we had the call with Lisa. We had even talked about costume, hair. We, you know, like we had gone to some depths and already met her. And you know, I think it was just serendipitous. It just,
I think so
awesome.
too.
Yeah.
And I'll say this too, because this is always, I've been asked this too. So, you know, if anybody out there is curious about this, why didn't you wait? Why didn't you, push the shoot? And so, and it's a good question. It's a good question. Well, if Olivia is sick, well, just wait till she's better. Just push the shoot. So, it's a good question. So my answer to that is, what you have to understand is when you're working, not that we're a major Hollywood film with $105 million, but we're still a professional product. And so we're still working with the budget. Our budget was 140,000 Canadian dollars. So it's about 100,000 US. And so it's still a substantial amount of money. And you're working with unions, you're working with professional actors, you're working with a professional crew. And, when I spoke to her manager, Tony, and he asked about that. He said, well, maybe we could push the shoot. And I said, and he was thinking of maybe January. I've talked about this before, but it bears, repeating. I said, can you give us a guarantee? Because it's important people understand that it wasn't that Olivia, she just had a cold, something like that. It wasn't a cold. No. It's a chronic reoccurring health thing that she's been dealing with. So, so I said, well, if you can give us a guarantee, okay, then we will seriously consider moving the shoot. Now, it's important for people to understand that when you have to move a shoot, any film shoot, doesn't really matter, but especially for us, because we're indie filmmakers, for us to move the shoot would have cost thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Because when you're 2 weeks away from going to camera, hotels are booked, craft services is booked, catering is booked, locations are booked, grip, camera, everything is booked. You know what I mean? And there's no guarantees that our actors will be all available at the same time in January, or our catering company will be available in January. We talked to our crew. I remember having a conversation with Katie, who was our caterer, who handled both catering and craft services. And I said to her, I inquired about that. And she says, well, I'm going to be, I forget where she was going, Barbados.
She was going out of town.
For like 3 weeks in February. And so hypothetically, if we pushed it to February, let's say, we would have had to have found another caterer, which is just that takes time. You got to find another caterer. You got to go through all the costs. Is this more expensive? And so, again, when you're a major Hollywood studio, not a big deal. We don't have to worry about that. If we're the direct, I'm not worrying about that. The studio's worrying about that. Right. And so, but when you're indie filmmakers, you are the studio. You are everybody. You're the marketing department, you're the studio, you know what I mean? You're the producers, the directors, the writers. And so it was an enormous amount of pressure and we just couldn't, I talked to him and we worked through it a little bit, but he couldn't give me a guarantee. And he said, well, what about, the spring? I said, well, Tony, the same thing applies. I said, can you give me a guarantee? First of all, I didn't want to push it that far because we wanted to make our release date of October 11th. And I said, and he said, well, yeah, it's kind of tricky. So we had to make an executive decision, and we had to say, we can't wait. I mean, this is not, yes, we're a fan film, folks, but this is not,
we're approaching it like professionals.
It's not a game.
For us.
fan film, right? You know what I mean? It's very different. And so, yeah, we had to make that executive decision and not wait. If we were just farting around with our friends and hanging out, yeah, sure, we'll wait till 2028 if you want. No big deal. You know what I mean? But that's not what this is. You know, there's a lot of money on the line and professionals who are all involved, and so we had to, unfortunately, we had to recast. We had to go to camera when we were all booked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if it's just you and your friends, you can wait for Steve to get it out of rehab and then start shooting in January.
That's it. That's
right.
it. That's it.
Okay, so you mentioned it, and this brings up another question. I almost hate going back to Olivia so much, but
That's
she
all
is
right.
kind
It's
of
a big
an
part of
integral
this whole thing. Yeah.
But you mentioned she's an agoraphobic, and she's even talked about this in her book.
Mm-hmm.
How was that going to work? Like,
Yeah.
because am I right in saying that's the people with fear of leaving the house or going outside? Correct? Is that right?
Yeah, in a general sense. Yeah.
People
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well. It's usually like fear of crowds as well, and
Yeah.
being in large public settings, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
But how was that going to work? Was she still coming up to Canada and to film, or
Yep.
were you going to have to go to her house and
No.
film there somehow?
No, we had several conversations with her manager, and even we had written documentation listing all of the stipulations that we would follow in order to ensure her safety traveling from California to Toronto. And it was everything from first class flight or business class, like whatever it's called with American Airlines or whichever airline. There were two in particular we were looking at. And then it was going to be as detailed as us renting a Suburban or some sort of, SUV vehicle of that type. And we would have personally, like either me or Dave, we're going to drive that vehicle, pick her up from the airport here in Toronto, bring her to the hotel. She'd be with her husband as a travel companion, of course, and then pick her up and drive her to our location, which was 4.5 hours away from the city that we live in, and do that on the way back. So a complete reversal, so that we would keep her, maintain that privacy, give her that space so that she's not around a lot of people. And
kind of keep the circle small.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. And then
nice hotel as well.
Yeah. So that way she had that, I keep thinking exclusivity, but it's not the right word, but I hope you understand what I mean. And then, our crew size,
essentially.
Yeah. And our crew size and cast size is not an overwhelming group. Like you're talking like 20 people, 25 people at any given moment, Dave and myself included. And that would have included her too. So it's not like a massive crowd. It's an intimate setting. It's all in one house. So we had talked through all of this with Tony, and he was on board. She was on board. Her husband was on board because we had communications with him as well. And so we had all that kind of stuff set because you're right. We had to think about that.
Yeah.
And
we had it built into the contract as well.
That's right. Yeah. It was written into the SAG after contract.
Wow. Those particular, like driving details and the privacy.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's interesting.
And that's what I mean by we literally would not go to that extent if we were trying to pull the wool over everybody's eyes or just fuck around. Like we're not going to do that. Like we went for it. Like we're going for it. We want.
We took a swing.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Yep.
All right.
Again, all you people,
Ziggy,
the
get in
haters. The haters.
That's it. Exactly it.
All right.
I love how he says it with such
get in there.
conviction.
You need Al Pacino. Fuck you. That's what you need Al Pacino in there too. Yeah.
We need several of them, actually.
Yeah.
I would love to have like a lineup, but
That's right. That's right.
I think we can all agree, and most everybody out there would say the same thing. Part 1, universally deemed a success beyond measure.
Thank you.
Did this add any more pressure to deliver in part 2, or was it just like, ha ha ha, old hat, we got this, we already know what to do? What was that like approaching this?
Again, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because we're a fan film, and so we're not for profit. So how do you measure success, right? And the success is measured obviously with views. And that's the easiest way to measure it. View count, your thumb up to thumb down ratio. comments, things like that. And, you know, it's a great question. So I'll just say this as well, because this is important. I've talked about this on my own channel. Some people will look at It's Me Billy Online on YouTube, and I think it's approaching 78,000 views right now, the first one. And there's a few people that have reached out to me and said, well, that seems kind of low. Like, it's been 3.5 years, only 78,000. I mean, there's Halloween fan films and Friday the 13th fan films and Nightmare on Elm Street fan films have millions of views. And, you know, I mean, Dylan Zoo Nightmare, you know, the one you were in has got like 200,000 views. I mean, it's kind of low. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. I said, if we had put out a Halloween fan film with the production value of It's Me Billy, and it only had 77,000 views, I would look to Bruce and I would say, that's a catastrophic flop.
Right.
I'd say this makes no sense. There are fan films with teenagers in their backyards with their friends shot on their iPhone, shaky camera work, that have like 500,000 views. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the reason why It's Me Billy, for those of you out there that may see it as only 77,000 views, is because Black Christmas, the original, although despite what you might think of it, and not everybody loves it, some people love it, some people don't, it's a very niche film. It never spawned a franchise. It had 2 remakes in 06 and 19, but it never embedded itself into the pop culture like Freddy and Jason and Michael. It predates Halloween by 4 years. There's an argument to be made that you may not have Halloween without Black Christmas. And so it's an incredibly important film. It's a very, very important film in the world of horror. But Billy is not winding up on anybody's, generally speaking, is usually not winding up on anybody's top 10 favorite slasher villains list, right? He's usually kind of forgotten about. It's also a seasonal horror movie. Black Christmas is really popular on November 1st to January 1st. That's when everybody's doing their Black Christmas reviews, and all the YouTube channels are getting into the Black Christmas spirit, and Collider and Bloody Disgusting are writing their think pieces on why Black Christmas is so important and all the, you know, all that kind of stuff, right? And then January, nobody's watching Black Christmas in March. Nobody cares about it in May. It's a seasonal sort of thing. So when you look at the box office now of all 3 Black Christmas movies, the first Black Christmas, the original from 1974, cost about $600,000 to make. At that time, I don't know what it is for inflation now, probably a couple million. But $600,000 in 1974, it grossed a few $1,000,000. It had a troubled journey in the US. It was released under the title Silent Night, Evil Night, because Warner Brothers thought people were going to think it was a blaxploitation film. That didn't go over very well. Then a few years later, they were going to release it on network television under the title Stranger in the House. They canceled that because Ted Bundy was caught shortly thereafter. And what was Ted Bundy famous for? He was famous for killing sorority girls in their house. And so Black Christmas had a troubled sort of thing. And the box office of the 06 movie is about $18 million worldwide. The box office of the 19 movie is about $21 million worldwide. So when you look at the box office totals of all 3 Black Christmas movies worldwide now, not just domestic, worldwide, is about $40 million. Right. So Black Christmas, although it's an incredibly important film, it's not Freddy Krueger. It's not Jason Voorhees, it's not Michael Myers. And so when you look at the view count of our first movie, 77,000 views over 3.5 years. If you times that, I know this is a silly thing to do, but hey, why not? If you times it by the average price of a movie ticket, which is about what, $15, maybe something like that, right? Maybe 12, a bit more. $15. Yeah, $12, $15. That works out to about 1.2 million. And so that's 1.2 million on a $64,000 budget. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Huge success. And so it's a huge success. So when what some perceive as a low view count is not a reflection of the quality of the work. It's a reflection of the popularity of the IP. And so I just wanted to get that out of the way because I think that's a very important distinction. And so we were not under any like, well, this thing's going to get 1 million views in a week. I mean, Vincent DeSanti is, and he does amazing work, but he's got Jason, he's got Friday the 13th. And when you couple that with the production value he's dishing out, I mean, it's a win-win. He'd be the first to tell you that. Well, I got Jason. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, he'd be the first to tell you that. And he's dishing out quality work. So he gets 1 million views in, an hour, you know what I mean? And so, because people are hungry for Jason. Billy, what? Billy, who? What? Billy also, he doesn't have a costume. He's not identifiable like Freddy and Jason and Michael with a tool or a blade or a mask, whatever. So yeah, I mean, we're very proud of the first movie. We think it's done very well. And it's totally in line with what you would expect, like any indie film that is made for $1 million and makes 10. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's totally in line with that. So answer your question though, because I was segueing into that. Because it totally, see, I bring you back around, guys. I bring you back. But it was important.
It may take 40 minutes, but we'll bring you back around.
It may take 40 minutes.
It's good content.
But it was important to set that up because looking at that, the pressure fell on sort of, I think, the ambitious nature of part 2 and whether or not it wasn't really pressure from a standpoint of like shareholders or a studio or anything like that. It was more about people really liked the first one. We want to really deliver on the second one. You can't please everybody. We're going to deliver a movie that some people are really going to dig. Some people are not going to dig. People will like it. Some people won't like it. Maybe they'll like it on subsequent watches. Who knows? Because everybody has their own expectations now of where this is going to go. Grandma, where is this going to go?
Yeah.
Right. But we still have to remain in the genre that we're in. We can't suddenly turn this into a Friday the 13th movie or, a Terrifier film. It still has to remain that theater of the mind, that mood, that atmosphere, because it could be very easy for us to all of a sudden have, heads popping off and guts spilling out. And that would just totally change the dynamic of the film. So I think the pressure, and Bruce can speak to this, for us was really about just making sure that we stayed focused under the pressures of the size of the project in compared to part 1.
Yeah, it was definitely a larger scope, 100%. Yeah. And that's part of what I was saying in the very beginning, like the complexity, and it was based on what we wrote. And one thing that I will say is that when folks get a chance to see it this weekend, there was a great deal of care that we took with the characters, because both Dave and I believe that, if you're going to tackle someone else's IP or you're going to step in to do something, approach it with care, give it the time and attention. And so we really did that, and we gave it our best, with that. And I think that there's some choices that we made that I'm really hoping people are going to love and get very excited about, and go, okay, yeah, didn't think of that. But when we have a chance, once everybody's seen it, we'll be able to talk more openly about it. But what I will say is that we took a great deal of care, and there was some pressure with that, with those creative choices. But we sincerely said to ourselves, how can we make this scary? There's different opportunities here. We don't want it to be stagnant. How can we evolve things and make things grow and still have fun with these characters, but deliver so it's scary, it's psychological, it's darker, and that you feel the thrill, you feel the excitement, and it takes it a level higher than chapter 1. Raising that bar, and we took a lot of care to aim to achieve that. Yeah.
Okay. Chapter 1.
The others think so too.
Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah. Go ahead.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll say this. I love the way, one of the things we talked about with chapter 1 was beautifully shot, beautifully lit. Many thanks to your DP, Gregory Bennett. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shout out to him.
Shout out to him, of course. And this one, just picks right up and moves right in. Now, first, did you have part 1 and 2 script written, or did you originally just have part 1 written and then didn't know where to, kind of had an idea where to go if you happened to get to a part 2? Did you have it all put together already?
No, it was just the script for part 1, but we knew, like I said earlier, we knew the direction we wanted to head in with part 2. Then it was just a matter of sitting down and working out those details so everything made sense and not giving too much away either. So yeah,
we had notes and stuff we had written, like jot notes and things for chapter 2. Once we were well underway with chapter 1, so that we knew where it would go because of how we wanted to end chapter 1.
Right.
We knew we needed some sense of it. We can't just drop the mic and then walk away and
Right.
not have another verse ready to spit. Like, we gotta do this.
yeah.
We gotta do this.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And hopefully for those out there, like, didn't they have a funeral for the grandma? That doesn't make any sense. Like, wouldn't they have seen her body in the coffin? Hopefully they will understand now why that wasn't possible.
Yeah.
Just hang on, people. Hang
All
on.
questions will be answered.
Yeah.
We didn't go, oh, I guess, I don't know.
It's,
What was the inspiration besides just, kind of throwing a little bit more ode to the original of bringing Lynn Griffin back? And she's playing Nancy, which
Nancy?
is her black. She's so Nancy. She's playing her Black Christmas character's sister. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is correct.
Tell us about the inspiration of bringing her in.
Yeah, so Bruce and I had long talks about this. We knew we wanted to bring an alumni in if we could. We would love to have brought them all in if we could. Would have been a higher budget, but so it was. There's two things, right? I mean, it is. We saw an opportunity. Lynn's character is dead, of course, but and again, despite what you might think of Black Christmas or whether you like it or don't like it, it's one of the most influential horror films of all time. And it has one of the most iconic images in all of horror, which is that woman with the plastic bag overhead in that rocking chair. And that's the symbol of Black Christmas. And it's everywhere. If you're a horror fan, if you're deep into horror, that. It comes up, that. And so that's Lynn. I mean, that's her. Whether it's artwork on a poster, it's not an actual photo, that's her. I mean, that's her there. And so we thought, we should reach out to Lynn and see, because we know her now because she helped on, the campaign. Like I said, we have the same agent. So I thought, why not kind of just see if she'd be interested in joining. And she thought it was very cool. She wanted to know about, like, how are you going to bring me back though? Like I'm dead. So what does this mean? And so we pitched it to her. Well, you're going to be her sister, because in the original film, and we went through it with a fine-tooth comb, there's no mention of Claire ever having a sister. There's no mention she does have a sister, but there's no mention she doesn't have one. Right. And so we thought, well, what if she had like a older sister or something? It's a couple years older than her and it's not in college. Maybe she's a cop. At that time she would have been like a 25-year-old cop or something, or a 24-year-old cop. And we were like, yeah, that's interesting. So we pitched it to her and Lynn loved it. She thought it was great. And of course, this is why you do this when you're indie filmmakers, even if you're doing it with Kurt Russell on some, original project, you do it to help give credibility and give eyeballs onto your film. Of course you do that. And so it helps to create authenticity and help those that maybe like a fan, because the word fan film, there's a stigma around it. And anytime Bloody Disgusting does an article on, especially when it's us, because we're not, Never Hike Alone, which is really well known now. But when they do an article on us or whatever, just look at the comment. Ooh, you had me until fan film. The fuck fans, I hate fan. All fan films suck. Fan film, and they haven't seen us. So because we're niche, we're always fighting against that stigma, and so it always helps to have a bit of something to go, okay, well, that's interesting. Maybe that's interesting. And so, and Lynn, and of course, Olivia would have shot that over the moon. But Lynn helps to provide that as well. And she's known in, the horror community. I mean, Curtains is a cult classic that, that people really love. And she's the, spoiler alert, but if you haven't seen it, you're in no rush. She's the villain in that. Right. And so, she's been in horror a lot. She was in Thanksgiving that just, released at the, at the beginning of the movie as the grandma. They shot that up here. I think you guys supplied the gear for it too, right, Bruce? You guys supplied the gear for Thanksgiving?
Yes, we did.
You did? Yeah. Yep. So that's why, right? I mean, you do that. You try to utilize your resources and connections as best you can. Make sure it's properly motivated. If it felt shoehorned in, the audience isn't stupid. You guys would watch me and go, this feels like it's just, why is she there? Right? It doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Right. So it has to be properly motivated. We wanted her to have meat to her character, not just somebody she passes by. Oh, hi. Oh, it's Lynn Griffin. No, we wanted her to be a real integral part of the film. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to get into, I want to get into some imagery later on, but Colonel, you got another question here?
Throw it to the fan question, because the question I have I can't ask till Saturday or Friday night.
okay.
All right. All right.
Can you ask about it in a roundabout way, or
Yeah,
no?
is there a general way you could put it?
Here's the thing. There's no roundabout with Colonel.
Okay.
There's really not.
You're just direct to the point.
Yeah, I'm fairly straightforward.
So when Billy's head exploded from the machine gun, did you guys?
Well, were there any, without getting too descriptive, were there any shots in It's Me Billy Chapter 2 that you guys struggle with? Because there's some really good shots and some really good edits that I unfortunately can't mention that I liked. Did you have like any difficulties on a particular shot without giving anything away?
Holy shit. I think that's the most vague I've ever heard him be.
I want to be vague.
Yeah.
You did really well. That was
You
great.
just got to work with the Colonel. He's capable. You just
Yeah.
got to.
Look, I
He's
got
a
home
fucking
from work
Colonel
today.
after all.
Yeah, I got home from work today and it's like Christmas morning. I'm like, oh, I got a screener for no sweet.
Made my day, man.
Yeah, I would say, and shout out to Greg and the rest of the crew, especially the lighting and grip crew, because they were dynamite. They were awesome. Greg, when he approached this, came at it with a lot of confidence, as he did with the first one and everything that he does. But because he had done the first one, coming into the second one, there were even more definitive decisions that were made to push the limits. And sometimes, sometimes filmmakers stay away from that a little bit because they want more flexibility in post. But Dave and I were very clear. He was very clear. The vision was very clear. So we committed to it. And that's fun, because then you go for it. And there's nothing better than, both feet in the water. You're just going for it. You're going to do it. Right. So I would say, I'll speak to it this way: technical achievement, like technical challenge. I'll put it that way. There is a moment when you watch the movie, and people will hopefully pinpoint it, but they had to do a setup where they lit the house from the outside, almost all the way around. And so that kind of lighting setup was a lot more complex. Greg really had to make sure that as the camera passes through the space, that there's definitely, light in the right places. Things are lit in the right places so we can tell the story the right way. But then, everything from light intensity levels to color temperature to like all those technical standard type things that Greg had to focus on. So that was probably when they had to light the exterior of the house. It was the most technically complex, most time consuming to achieve the look that we were going for. So that's probably the one. And I think he would probably agree in terms from a technical challenge point of view. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's very similar, and we could talk about this because obviously it's from the first movie, but it's very similar in Chapter 1. If you guys remember what we refer to as the oneer, and it's the one shot where Victoria begins when she gets up in bed. We track backwards with her as she's coming down the hallway. There's a set of what we call baby steps, like 3 little steps. We track up that. There's no cut. And she comes up and then she sits, she hits her mark in front of the window and she says, Justine, right? And then there's a knock at the door and then the camera pivots and we follow. Now we're behind her and we follow her down the staircase all the way to the front door. So very similar in the sense of that we had to, because we're moving through the space and we're moving through 2 levels, lighting that exterior took about, I think it was about 4 hours or something like that. Yeah. And of course you're running tests and doing all that and everything's got, the light has, like, as you said, the light's got to fall in the right spot. And I always say this, but is a shout out to our focus puller on Chapter 1, Jacqueline DeBacco, who had to pull focus through the whole oneer down in the dark. And and she's sitting there and she's pulling focus on her monitor, watching Victoria do the whole thing. And it's I think we shot that about 8 times, and it was the eighth take we used. So it's I just want to, it's the same. So for people out there who have seen 1, they'll know what
Bruce was talking about when we talk
Right.
about the lighting and moving through the space, because you can't just set up lights outside shining through a window. They have to fall on the right spots. They have to fall on the actor when they're if your actor hits a mark in front of a window, the light's got to be there, but it can't be too hot, can't be too low. It's got to be at the right angle. So that takes time. That takes a lot of time to do that and to finesse it.
Yeah. And all of the interior, like the set deck, and where do you put your crew? Because like with chapter 1, when you think of the Oner, if you go back and you watch it, you think about how much ground we covered in that shot, how much of the house you see continuously. You've got to set dress that entire space, make sure that it looks good. And then where's your crew? Like where are they?
25 people there. Like where are they?
Where do you hide 25 people so they don't show
right.
up on camera? So those are some of the fun logistics when you're shooting. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I was just I watched a interview recently with Maura Tierney, who just joined the cast of Law and Order. And Law and Order is, famous for Oners all the time. Walking through the police station and everything. Yeah. Or a crime scene. Mm-hmm. But she was even talking about it like, well, I started in ER, where they started using Oners in regular television,
Right.
So she felt comfortable with it, but then she'll look at some of the new actors and be like, "Don't fuck this up,"
A great Oner, like I love Oners, especially in horror, and I have no doubt that it won't be the last one that I do or we do or he does or whatever. I love them because they can be challenging, but and there's a lot of rehearsal, but they can be very effective, especially in horror, in creating tension. And suspense. A lot
of fun to create, especially the crafting of the image, like just you're playing with the shadows. That shit's cool.
Yeah, it is.
Right. All right. Tarek says, Dave, it sounds like you've done the math on this. Was there ever any serious doubts about taking on the Black Christmas IP because it's in such a niche category?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, when I first thought of the idea, like I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had spent at that time, it was basically nearly 20 years in the entertainment business. And like I said, I'm a full-time professional voice actor. I've worked at the highest levels of VO in the world. And, but my first love has always been movies. And so, I wanted to make a movie, but I didn't want to bite off more than I could chew. I want to make a professional film, but I didn't want to bite off more than I could chew. And so I wanted to do something that felt that the pressure was what we put on it ourselves. We're not dealing with an outside production company or a studio, not yet. Right. So I could get my feet wet in a directing, producing role on a professional level, work with my best friend. We could do that together. And so we are the marketing department. The only, deadlines we have to meet are the ones we set. Right. The only people we answer to are, ourselves and of course our backers, but, just kind of do it that way. And I thought, well, maybe I'll do a fan film. But I want to do it totally pro. And so, I think, what the hell was the question again?
Well, if I could add to what you're saying too, because we talked about this, right? Where it was also we said to ourselves, let's go for this, right?
Yes.
And although Black
right,
Christmas IP may not be as popular as some of the others, we said let's set out to create just a kick-ass horror movie regardless. So even if folks go and they watch it and they have no knowledge of the original Black Christmas, hopefully they can watch it and still just appreciate it as a thriller, as a horror movie, and just still enjoy it just on that level alone.
Right.
In that respect of it being a Black Christmas fan film, it kind of stands on its own because, I mean, how many other Black Christmas fan films are there?
There's one or two, but they're amateur home movie productions. And so we're the only one.
But there's 684 Friday the 13th fan films.
That's right.
It's probably 6,840.
And that was just in the last year,
Right.
So it just stands out.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it was, there wasn't really any apprehension. We knew what we were getting into. We knew it wasn't going to be nearly as popular. But that didn't matter. We wanted to do it to, massage our or flex our filmmaking
Prowess,
muscles, you know what I mean, and see what we can do. Yeah, see what we can do on a limited budget, and yeah, and so it really wasn't about. That's really what it was about, you know, at the end of the day, and we knew that it wasn't going to get the eyeballs. You know, we knew we were not going for the low hanging fruit. We were going for something a little more niche, and it was an opportunity. We're two Canadians from Toronto. Black Christmas is a Canadian horror movie shot in Toronto with a large Canadian cast. Now, there are Americans in the movie, of course, Olivia Hussey, and John Saxon and Keir Delay, but you also got Margot Kidder and Andrea Martin and Lynn Griffin and Art Hindle. They're all Canadian. And so, and this was Margot before she was Margot, you know what I mean? Before she was Lois Lane. And so, you know, we saw an opportunity. There'd never been a sequel, right? Like I said, there'd never been, you know, we saw an opportunity to do something because we knew the level we were going to do it at, to do something that would, there's a romanticism around it. You know, who better to do it than two guys from Toronto? And so it was a no-brainer at the end of the day. Yeah. So, but we knew it wasn't about, oh, we're going to get millions of views. Because I mean, if that's what it was about, what the hell are we doing Black Christmas for?
It was about as filmmakers and pursuing what we've always loved since we were kids, just the passion of making a movie, the craft of filmmaking, and going for it and giving it our best. Like it. Yeah.
Something you guys, wait a minute, effectively did. Except I've been sitting on this for a second. With Billy, with your both films, I can say now, and this is safe. You gave him more of an identity, like more scary. It's more, you know what I mean? It's way more intense than what you ever see in that original movie. So if nothing else, you've enhanced him, like, and brought him to a closer level to the Jason, to the Michael, like that, with what you've done here.
Cool.
I think it's cool, man. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of like what we were talking about earlier in the stream, like where making some of those creative choices on how do you evolve the character, maintain the ambiguity of this character, because that's one of the key things, and a signature element of a lot of 1970s horror movies. You know, you never really know who the villain is or their background, and we don't want to give that story. We don't want to share that. But how can we make this darker, scarier, you know, push it further, but be responsible with our choices? And what I mean by that is, I've said it quite often, there's some IPs in the world, folks get hired to come on board to write a script and direct it, and they just fuck it up. And I think, like, especially when they get introduced like midway in a saga, it's like, dude, and I know you made the choice not to pay attention to anything that came before, and that's exactly the problem. It's not an IP to do that with. Yeah. So we take it to that same seriousness, and that's part of what we mean by approaching it like professionals, right? So it's a fan film, but it's we did it. Yeah, we're making a movie, and we're after it for real, you know, regardless of whatever IP it might be. So and that's where the fun comes in, you know, to push to try to achieve that level. Cool.
And I agree with everything you've said, and you know, it's also about, you know, one of the criticisms we got in chapter 1 was, you know, some people felt that we showed too much of Billy. And my thought has always been, like, I can intellectualize that, and I understand what they mean when they say that. And I think it's important, though, that as filmmakers, that when you are taking on somebody else's project, like we took this on as if we were making the sequel.
That's my argument.
Right. And so because of the level we were working at, because of the team we had, the equipment we were using, you know, the money we had, we took it very seriously. And so no decision was arbitrary, you know, like I said, and it really came down to, I think it's important that when you step into this realm, because there were some people that would say, yeah, but this is how Billy is. And I said, look, if we were remaking Black Christmas, I said, then yes. I said, but we're making a sequel set 50 years later. So it's important we had long conversations about how do we progress the character of Billy forward? This is a sequel. He has to develop. We can't just do the same thing over and over again. How do we develop a character that has to remain largely ambiguous? You know, we don't want to remove that DNA. And so the one example, you know, I like to use is in the original film, 1974, he has his tantrum through the POV. You see him, you know, kicking over things, and he's largely through POV in that film. There's shadows and, you know, silhouettes, and you see the eye and all that, but it's largely POV. Excuse me. And so in our film, in chapter 1, we have the tantrum, but this time, instead of through his POV, we are on the other side of the room looking at him. Now he's in dimly lit light. You don't see his face. You got the hair in front of him, but that's a progression of the character for the audience. Right. You're getting the same thing, but now you're seeing it from a different perspective. Now we understand there's some people that don't like that. That's fair, totally fair, but we can defend the decision. It wasn't arbitrary. It was made with respect to the character. Because we're making a sequel, we have to push the character forward, and we're still honoring the DNA of the character. In chapter 2, we push it a little further, right? But we still honor the character. We still honor the ambiguity of the character, the same principle. And that's how you do it when you're pushing things. I mean, it would be character specific, obviously, but those were the conversations we had, the long conversations we had. How do we do this? Not everybody's going to like it, right? I mean, that's just, you know, you put it out there and you let the chips fall where they may, but those are the decisions those are the conversations. These are the depths we went to. It's like I said, we weren't thinking, oh, this is a fan film, we can fart around. No, we had, I mean, between the two films, you know, both movies total it's a $220,000 film. So it's not something we can just willy-nilly and make artsy-fartsy decisions and fuck around. I mean, there's a lot of money on the table, and there's a lot of people that we have to answer to in terms of our backers. We want to, you know, please people and show that we can deliver the product that we said that we were asking the money to go and do. And so that's why you have to have those types of conversations. And Bruce and I want to work at a high level. We want to make a living doing this. And so we take it very seriously. And
Absolutely.
So that doesn't mean everybody's going to like what you do, but that's how we sort of thought about Billy and how to progress his character without revealing everything.
Right. Well, and see, if Bob Clark himself would have made a sequel 10 years later, you would have seen more Billy. You wouldn't have just gotten the eye shot or, you know, or the shadows.
I don't know. It depends how much they would have let him do, right? You know what I mean? But to your point, because we are the studio, we can do whatever we wanted to do. If we had Universal or Paramount or somebody, they may say, guys, no, we need more Billy. We need to show his face. Why doesn't he show up at the beginning of the movie and we see his face and he's a Santa Claus and he can, I mean, those things happen, you know what I mean? And then we have to fight with the studio and be like, you know,
but I mean, I think most sequels that have a villain like that have done that from part 1 to part 2 or you know, part 2 to part 3 or whatever, where they've shown more of the villain. I mean, you can even say the same with Jaws. You know, you had Jaws for like what, 7 minutes in the original film or something. He
doesn't show up until like, I think it's over an hour into the film.
Right. And Nightmare on Elm Street, you know, is about Nancy, and then part 2 is really about Freddy, you know, primarily. Jason the same way, Michael the same way. You see a lot more in the hospital in part 2. It's kind of a natural progression. So it makes a whole lot of sense to me. But why, if you were going to make a sequel 50 years later, would you still want the guy to be in the shadows? It felt like a wasted opportunity.
Yeah, and you know, another thing too, some people have said, like, thankfully everybody really likes in part 1, they like the phone calls and how that was handled and all that, and that's great. There's one or two people that were like, you know, it's great, but it sounds like they're all overlapping, and that wasn't like that, you know, in the first movie. And I remember saying, that's true. I said, but you have to think about it from our perspective as the filmmakers and as the writers. When we think of this, we're not thinking about it just as fans. We're thinking about it as storytellers. So where would this character be 50 years later? He's unlikely to have ever gotten help, right? So where would his cognitive, you know, where would he be, the cognitive decay over 50 years, if he was like that in 74, where would he be now? Like, I mean, how in tune is he now with all his personalities?
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? And so that it wasn't just, oh, I think you guys made a mistake by overlapping them. No, we overlap them on purpose. They are, it is a creative decision because of where we are now with the character.
Oh, God. And I can't even, I'm not going to, there's some good stuff in the second one that's going to show you inside his head, man. And it's fucking wild. So, I mean, it's good.
You liked it? Yeah. Great.
That
scene was nice. Yeah.
I think that's my favorite part right now. I got to watch it
Great.
again. But,
Love it.
Cool.
but I was just saying to my son's like going, what the hell is that? I was like, that was fucking cool, man.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
Yeah, good job. I mean, I don't want to, it sucks we can't discuss it, but I mean, this is what I mean with enhancing this character from what it was back in 74. You guys just got to go see this, man. This is the only way to do it. But
you don't even have to go anywhere. Just
stay home.
Stay home and see it.
But I like the sound of that statement.
I do.
One day. You guys just got to go see our movie. That's what you got to do. Just put it out there. Just put it out there, into the universe.
That's right. That's right.
That's what it is. Yeah.
But before I hand this over to Ziggy, I have to say that little rant I just gave about the sequels and the progress that felt good. I understand why you do those now, Dave. That felt really good.
Get it off your chest.
That's it.
That was just a minor one. That was like a minor stroke as compared to like Popular Blood Vessel.
Oh, I mean, sometimes I'm surprised I don't need a bloody defibrillator on my on my channel. I'm just going, I mean, I'm always like that, And
I love the ones where you could see like the bottom, the top of your neck,
the neck vein
change color. Yeah, and it just rises up through your face like a thermometer.
Yep.
Anyway,
what happened?
Well,
it did feel good. I get it.
Yeah, do not watch The Crow, the remake.
Yeah, don't watch The Crow.
I
will start bleeding.
Laid back as they come,
Okay. All right. Duly noted.
Ziggy, fire off another question.
All right, man. I guess what is the emotion now you both feel after completing the Black Christmas story? And do you feel like you've done this film's origins justice?
I would say yes. I believe that we've done it justice. Absolutely. Of course, it's always going to be biased for me to say that, but
so we can flame you later if we're going to get this now. No.
Yeah,
good, man. They did a great job on it. So go ahead. Continue.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, and so there's a little bit of sadness because the project is coming to a close on a certain level, right? And you enjoy the process and collaborating with everybody, and it's the creative energy and the creative flow. It's the act of creating. So I think when finishing any significant project, I often feel a little bit of that. But I think it's very much overshadowed for me by the feeling of accomplishment, like whether it was awesome or total dog shit, I can still go, you know what? I gave my best foot forward and did the best that I could with the resources that I had, with the knowledge that I had at the time, and it gave an honest effort. And I can feel a sense of accomplishment around that. I feel good with myself about that. And then also I think back on everything that I've learned throughout the process of making both films. And all of that together leaves me in a place feeling excited to pursue the next project, to do the next thing, to take what I've learned and now apply it and grow and just keep going. So I leave in a position feeling very motivated and excited. Yeah, very much so.
Nice.
I'd say the same thing. I feel the same way.
Yeah. He's like, hey.
Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. No, you're shocked, aren't you? You're all shocked. You're all shocked.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. That's our show.
Right, everybody. See you later. No, it's true. I do. I feel the same way. I was just gonna basically repeat what Bruce said, but I will say this though. I will say, here I go. No, but I'll say that I'm excited. We have a lot of projects, a lot of ideas that are in the pipeline, And so we are excited for new opportunities, and there may be some opportunities for us down the road, which is exciting. And so we're looking to the future, and we'll look back on these 2 projects with fondness, and how important they were for us to grow as filmmakers, and as best friends too. You know, we've had to work through. You know, we don't always agree, right? And so we work through our different creative ideas, and you know, our different sort of creative visions on certain things or certain shots or certain moments or whatever. But it's always a blast. You know what I mean? Like, it's never, you know, there's never any, you know, fighting or, you know, angry. You just work through things, and it's just fun, you know. And I'm excited to do. I'm ready and excited to you know, to do it all over again, not with Billy, but you know, but with a new project that can just reinvigorate new ideas and new excitement, and you know what I mean, and all that kind of stuff. So it's yeah, it's an exciting time for sure.
I know it's
Well, yeah.
way early, but I mean, is there plans to continue on with horror, or do you have other ideas to step out? You know, you want to remake a Rocky movie or something, or
Yeah, sure.
I can see that, Dave. I can see you doing like a Rocky remake.
Yeah. What am I doing? So
Rocky takes Toronto.
Yeah. Well, I always thought that the Grand Theft Auto game, they should come out with a GTA, because the urban sprawl of the Toronto area is called the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, and so with all the different, you know, municipalities and towns and cities and stuff. So I was like, they need like a GTA, you know. Anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Probably too meta for it. Yeah.
It's probably yeah. No,
That's
but
that's way too smart for the GTA audience. The video game GTA audience, not the Greater Toronto Area GTA audience.
right. But what was the question again? What was
like other styles of movies you might be
horror, right?
Genres you might be working in.
I love the horror genre, and I could make horror movies for the rest of my life, and there's so many ideas I have that I want to do. That doesn't mean I wouldn't make a comedy or I wouldn't make a drama. I could see making a drama, or sci-fi, you know, but I always just naturally gravitate to the horror. Like, when ideas come to me, it's usually always horror related. You know what I mean? It's not, I do have one sci-fi sort of idea, but I usually gravitate towards horror. You know what I mean? And I'll be out somewhere and I'll be like, oh, that would make a great, and it's always horror. You know what I mean? And it's just what I love. It's my, so yeah, I would love to continue in horror. Bruce and I, and he can speak to him in a second, but I sometimes get asked, like, are you guys going to go off and make more movies together? And the short answer is yes, of course, but we also have our own ideas as well, and we would love to direct together again, of course, and we will. We have a really cool idea, which is horror, by the way, that we would absolutely love to get going. But we also want to flex our muscles as solo directors as well, with our own ideas that I think is, you know, important too. So the future, I think, we'll direct together, we'll direct solo, and, you know, but we'll always be partners. I'll be a producer on the project he's directing, and vice versa, you know, all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, for me, it will probably always be primarily horror. Bruce?
Yeah, I have a love for science fiction. That's one of my favorite genres. But of course, I like horror as well. And I've got horror story ideas, science fiction ideas, and very much enjoy sometimes stuff that's making social commentary, especially, you know, through science fiction, because I find that it can be one of the best mediums for that, and really challenge how people are thinking. But then, yeah, you know, I've got a pretty broad taste, I would say. And so I'm interested in a lot of different things. Yeah.
And the two genres, sci-fi and horror, I mean, they're pretty much brothers. I mean, they're so interconnected to each other. So.
Absolutely. But there's a, you know, really cool, again, a couple of horror film ideas that I've got as well that, you know, I think people might really dig. And really cool.
Tarek has a couple of film ideas for you here, actually.
Okay.
He says, He says, "It's me, Rocky."
Done.
That could be a good one.
I think
And
we're
then
just gonna. Sorry, go ahead.
And then he goes on to, oh, wrong one. He goes on to, "It's me, Xenomorph." And now I don't know why the Xenomorph sounds like Rocky. But
I don't know. I don't know. Well, maybe we start the "It's Me" series. It's a whole
There you go.
series. You know, it's funny. My brother Neil, after we shot the first movie, I was talking to him on the phone, and he's like, "So it was great, Dave. It was great. You know, are you going to do the sequel?" And I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "Yeah. So what is this going to be called?" And we didn't know what it was going to be called at the time.
Mhm.
And I said, "I'm not sure." And he goes, "Well, I have a suggestion." He's like, "Yeah. What about, the first one was 'It's me, Billy.' What about Billy, it's me?" And I thought, so just you reverse it. He's like, "Yeah, it's Sam. He's saying Billy, it's me," because he's like, "It's me." But he was kidding. But I was like, that might work. I don't know.
Or Jess saying, "Billy, it's me."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's another thing I want to say too for your audience that I think is important too, because Black Christmas is so niche, some people may not know. Because I have had some people be like, "Black Christmas, it's me, it's me, Billy." What kind of, like, what does it even mean? What kind of title?
Yeah,
is that?
yeah.
Like, why
does
it's
this
me,
relate?
Billy?
Yeah.
Like, how does that? Well, if you're a Black Christmas fan, even if you're not, I'll tell you. At the end of the first movie in 1974, and we are just solely, thinking about and referencing the original 74 film. There was nothing in the 06 remake that we worked in there. There was nothing in the 19 film.
You're right. There was nothing in the 19 film.
There was nothing in the 19 film. The very last line you hear in the 74 film, the very last line, the last piece of dialogue,
Mhm.
as the camera is pulling away from the attic window, and you can see, Mrs. Mack hanging in the background, and Lynn is in the foreground in the rocking chair with the bag over it. The very last thing you hear is, "Billy, it's me, Billy." It's the very last line you hear.
Mhm.
And we originally were going to, and then you see the house as it pulls back.
Mhm.
We originally, as you guys know, we wanted to have the original film in chapter 1, and our goal was to open "It's Me, Billy" with that same shot, so it
Mhm.
mirrors the same. So we close it and then we open it 50 years later.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, we couldn't do that.
Couldn't get that out.
But that's where the name. So it's not just, and he says it several times in the movie when he's about to kill Margot Kidder. He's on top of her. He's like, "It's me, Billy." He says it just before that great eye shot, behind the door.
Mhm.
So it's something that he says. It's not just some, weird title that makes no sense.
Right. Lorena says, "Holy shit, he said that exactly like it was in the movie."
Yeah.
Pretty sure he studied the movie quite a bit. So
Yeah.
I did. I don't know it quite as well as Halloween, but I know it pretty darn well.
Colonel, you got another question here before you got one?
Yeah, because talking about future projects.
Right.
I'm curious, with like Bohemian Rhapsody, Rocket Man, Straight Outta Compton. Are you guys having interest in doing an autobiography? I'll just skip it. Can you guys do a snow movie called Informer?
A what?
What?
A what?
An
Autobiographical. Autobiographical.
I'm turning to a pumpkin. I've been up since like 4 a.m.
That's all right, dude. I got you. I got you, Colonel. I got you.
Can't speak anymore. Yes, can you do one about snow? We just call it Informer.
Oh,
The rapper Snow.
Farmer.
I'm making a Toronto joke.
Damn.
He is Canadian, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
I remember.
Hey,
I remember Snow.
Tarek says biopic.
Thank you, Terry.
Colonel.
Like,
There you
my
go.
brain is kind of mucked up.
Or as some people like to say, biopic.
Biopic.
Well,
Well,
different movie.
Biopic. Yeah.
And BK says stroke.
Oh, that's funny.
God
That's
damn
funny.
it. Anyway, yeah, a Snow biopic. Any interest?
I'm not sure you could make a feature out of it. I think it would be like a 10-minute
Very
short.
That's probably true. It
So-
might be 5 minutes.
Maybe a commercial. No, I don't know.
Oh my God, a music
Can you
video.
imagine?
There we
Can you
go.
imagine? That's our pitch, Bruce. Can you imagine? We want to do a snow biopic.
Yeah,
A
I mean,
biopic
like, really
on
passionate
the
about
white stuff on the ground? No, the Canadian rapper.
Yeah,
You
no,
never
I-
have
we
been
could-
farmer.
I dare you assholes to go into a pitch meeting sometime and do that. But
I
but
would,
film
depending
it.
on how well I knew the guy that I was pitching to.
Oh
Yeah.
God! But you got to film it and then be like, all right, it's just a joke. All right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Oh Jesus
That's
Christ!
true. Now, you said you
Uh-huh.
had photos you wanted to show, I think, earlier. You said something about photos.
I
you wanted to show.
I had hoped I wanted to get some photos together for you, but I couldn't find like the right ones.
Oh, okay.
But
That's okay.
I will ask because I assume you've seen the trailer for Terrifier 3, correct?
I have. We both have. Yes.
Yep.
And I'm sure you've discussed at length the Black Christmas theme that it has going
Oh.
on.
It has
Yeah.
a Black Christmas theme.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a shot in the trailer that is almost lifted directly from chapter 1. I didn't know if you
Oh,
noticed
it's the opening.
the attic.
The attic.
Where
Yeah.
he's up in the attic.
Well, I would. I know the shot you're talking about. It's the opening of the Terrifier 3 trailer.
Mhm.
I
And,
open the floor to you, sir.
Well, I would say this. I don't know Damien Leone through a hole in the wall. I don't know him at all. I know a couple of the producers that work on well, I say no. I'm casual acquaintances online with a couple of the producers on the film. And I would say that I have no idea if any of them have ever seen It's Me, Billy at all. No idea. And so I have no evidence to say that they were like, well, that's a really great idea. We should do that. I think really what it comes down to is it's an attic with a rocking chair and a guy sitting in it. It's Black Christmas. I mean,
Yeah, I think
there's
they
only
borrowed
so many
from the
ways that you
original.
can, there's only so many ways that you can shoot that. Right. And so I think it is what it is. I don't think it's a ripoff from us. I think it's just a ripoff or an homage to Black Christmas, like what we were doing.
I'm not necessarily
and
saying
so-
it's a ripoff, but I mean,
Well,
there's,
maybe that's too harsh of a
it's-
term, but
It's spot on. Like,
it's similar. It's similar. The rocking chair is on the other side, but it's similar. Yeah, there's a parallel there
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
sure, but I don't think it's, and there's definitely parallels to Black Christmas in that
Absolutely.
film.
Mhm.
For sure. But yeah, no, I don't think he's sitting there going, hey, I think we got to get this. I don't think he was thinking that.
No, I don't know. I didn't know if you would look at that and be like, huh, or if you'd be like, huh.
I didn't even think of It's Me, Billy when I saw it. The first thing I thought of was Black Christmas when I saw it. I didn't think of our film at first.
Okay.
But
Well,
yeah, but
who
the
knows?
windows too. I noticed the windows are the crescent moon shaped windows like the Amityville Horror House. So he's got a little bit of an homage to the Amityville Horror House there. So
Okay. All right.
yeah,
Who knows? I don't know.
I don't know.
One of the last times, and I know you probably can't talk about it. One of the last times you were on here,
Mhm.
there was a little bit of a discussion that you were in talks with some streamers about some upcoming projects. Has anything progressed from that we can discuss?
So yes, the last time I was on, I had mentioned that It's Me, Billy Chapter 1 opened a few doors for us, which was great. That door's still open, but I will say that there are some interesting things that are potentially happening, and yeah, I'll leave it at that at the moment. There's some interesting things that are potentially happening with
With us.
with us. Well, yes, with us, but I would say with potentially with a studio. You would know the name. You would know the name, but I can't. But it's way too early to go beyond that. Way too early to go beyond that. Way too early to go beyond that.
It had been a couple years, so I didn't know if anything had progressed. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
wanted
it's
to
there's things that are happening, but it's way too early to be like, yeah, it's these people and this person. It's like, whoa,
Sure.
hang on a
Sure.
second,
Yeah,
what the fuck's going on? You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So yeah, but I just I just say that it's not. Yeah, it is. Hopefully, something good will happen. We'll just say that.
Mhm. Mhm.
All right.
Keep our
Well,
fingers crossed.
best of luck to you guys, and I can't wait
Thank
for
you.
the rest of the public to see It's Me, Billy, Chapter 2 coming out this Friday. Do you have a time of day you're releasing it?
Probably, I'm preparing the press release. Actually, I was working on that today. Bruce, Bruce
Nice.
didn't know that, but I was working on that today. I'm preparing the press release, so we'll send that out soon. I'm thinking probably like a 9 a.m. Eastern again, like what we did
Yeah.
with Chapter
Usually
1,
what we've
something like
done.
that. So it's
Yeah.
got the whole, the whole day.
Everyone's ready. Yep.
And people can watch before they go see Terrifier.
Yeah, you can watch It's Me, Billy before you go see Terrifier.
There you go.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
you go. That's the way it is. No, I love
That's
you. Like,
right.
oh, Billy, I don't know what I'm gonna do. You can go. You have both. You don't have to.
You watch both.
You watch both.
Yeah.
You mean just go
And
watch
I
Terrifier,
would
then come home and watch ours.
Yeah,
Or
and I
vice
would
versa.
say to people too, if you don't remember chapter 1 or if you haven't seen it, definitely watch it first before you
Yes.
watch chapter 2 because it's
Yeah.
not going to make sense because it is truthfully the second half of a story. So it'd be
Yes.
like you just watching the second half of a feature film. It wouldn't make
Exactly.
sense. You need
That's
to watch
it.
the first half. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
great
the
point.
End,
Bruce.
the end and the beginning kind of overlap just a little
Oh,
bit,
man.
but it's
Yeah.
Yes, and that was actually one of we had talked about how to market part two, chapter 2. Get with it, Dave. It's your fucking movie. Because it's interesting because with chapter 1, it's the setup. Like 1 is essentially the first act and a bit of the second act. And then chapter 2 is like the end of the second act and the third act. And so with marketing chapter 2, it's been a bit trickier because there's a lot more spoilery things in terms of the marketing. So I think we did a good job though of sort of, with the trailer and the teasers and the promos, we've done a good job at not sort of giving anything away, but it was a bit trickier.
No.
But anyways,
Yeah.
I digress.
I don't
but
think you
I
gave anything
echo
away.
what Bruce said. Yeah. Watch, or if you're really up for it, watch Black Christmas, then chapter 1, then chapter 2. Really make it a
Yeah.
trilogy, or
I
say
would go
that
back.
maybe. I don't know.
I think Patricia was talking about doing that in the comments earlier, but that was a while ago. So
Yeah, I think
That's
you really
exactly
see.
how I was going to wrap it up with you guys on my part, is just to say, like, these guys have given us a fucking direct sequel, a legacy sequel that's actually worth a fuck to Black Christmas from 1964.
Cool.
No,
Thanks,
man,
man.
because everybody gets out
Thanks,
there
man.
and does this. They take stabs at these kind of things. You guys did a high quality product here that will keep you on the edge of your seat if watching this movie. These characters, and just to see it all wrapped up like this, to get this, even if it's in 2 parts like that, is still, we have a worthy sequel to Black Christmas. And on behalf of horror fans, thank you, man.
Cool,
Well,
man.
thank you for saying that. Yeah,
Thank you.
that means a lot.
And speaking of, the Indiegogo is still going. It's in demand, correct? You can still get Blu-rays and posters and T-shirts and hoodies, correct?
You
right.
can, yes.
That's right.
You will notice when you go to the campaign. Don't fear people. You'll notice that it'll say Blu-rays 0 sales, T-shirts 0 sales, hoodies 0 sales. That's only because Indiegogo does not allow you to edit a perk once a perk has been purchased. So when it came to September 9th, and that was the cutoff date to get your name in the end credits, I had to put all those perks into hidden and create the same perk. Like I had to create them over again, new, and remove the part where I said, and you can get your name in the end credit. You know what I mean? So I had to do all that. So don't. So, if people think it looks weird, that's why. There are lots of sales. It's just not since I've switched them over.
Yeah, we had to refresh it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, just a little side thing before we cut you loose here. Is there any intention of doing another Indiegogo down the road that combines the 2 into one Blu-ray, or like one continuous storyline rather than chopping it up?
Yeah, so we do have plans once this is once the dust kind of settles after the release and we've fulfilled the perks for everybody. We do want to cut part 1 and 2 together, brought them together so that it does exist as a feature. And then we'd like to submit that to film festivals. And then at some point after the festival run, we would make that available to folks.
Okay.
In terms of, I don't know if we do another Indiegogo, if that would be needed. If we wanted to do Blu-rays, absolutely. But you'll hear more from us if we decide to do that. But for sure, we want to put them together, do the festival circuit, and see where that lands.
Do it. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, yeah, because we got a lot of requests at the end of chapter 1. Once it was released, the campaign had closed, and a lot of people wanted a chance to buy Blu-rays. And we couldn't reopen it. We couldn't, it was like, oh, it's done, So this time we thought, okay, well, hopefully there'll be the same interest. Keep it open for a little bit after. That way, if folks are interested and they go, shit, this was awesome. Because on the Blu-ray, you also have the trailer, the teasers. There's a behind the scenes featurette that we're putting on there too, just like we did with chapter 1. So you get more than just the film, of course. So hopefully folks will enjoy that and find that cool.
Yep. For sure.
Excellent. Well, guys, we're about there. So thank you again for joining us. You guys are almost getting up to the Saturday Night Live, the gold jacket, the 5-time appearance. the five timers club, but you're getting close.
We're getting close. Yeah, the Mile High Club. Wait, what? Huh?
No, not that. Not that.
What's going on here? I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
Well, thank you for having us on. This has been awesome to see you guys and be here. So thank you.
And
we really appreciate it.
Tune in everybody Friday. Get out there on YouTube. Stay home and do it. You don't have to go anywhere to do it. Not yet.
You don't. You can do it while you're taking a shit. Just got your phone. Just watch the movie while you're taking a crap.
It's true.
You
have a waterproof phone. You do it in the shower.
Can't do that with Terrifier 3. So I'm just saying.
Unless you're really, really sick.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, it's more enjoyable than those fucking cat videos you're watching while you're shitting anyway. Just watch.
Right. There you go.
Colonel, that's going to be the quote. More
That'll be on the back of the Blu-ray.
I was just going to say it's going to be the testimony on the back of the Blu-ray.
Yeah. More enjoyable than the cat videos that you're watching.
Oh, good God.
The Colonel, DCS.
That's the Colonel, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thank you again for joining us, and best of luck this weekend. And go ahead.
And one more time on behalf of Dave and Bruce here, all you haters out there, man, just lay off and remember.
Fuck you.
That's fucking
I love that was James Earl Jones. Oh, rest in peace, James Earl Jones. That's amazing.
Yes.
Now, I love that he shortened that clip, because that clip used to be about 35 seconds long. And it's just him.
Well, James Earl Jones was a stutterer in real life.
That's right.
Many years ago. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
See, even Doc Smiley noticed. They shortened it.
You should have the long one. You should have it on there.
I have it, but
he has it.
Yeah.
You save it for special occasions. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
They requested the shorty, so I got the shorty.
All right. That happens.
It's still effective.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks again.
Yeah, man.
Good luck this weekend. And
thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you on the other side. So
thank you, guys. All righty.
Thanks one last time to our members, our final girls and guys, Christy, C-Phase, Lorena, BD, Alex, and Robert, our Crazy Ralph's Bell's Fancy Creations, Dr. Smiley, Raymond, and the whole damn enchilada pod. And of course, our camp counselors, Adam, Corey, Christy, Luke, Jimmy and Rachel, Stacy Lynn, Orlando, Chuck Schick, Dave, Canadian Dave, Patricia, Kristen, and JJ.